1871 is yet a totally different dance experience. It's site-specific. The dancers are utilizing a space totally different than what anyone would see on the stage.
Well, looking at this 1871 installation, going into it, I had a very clear picture of the space, but none of the dancers had been there. Trying to explain my enthusiasm for the why of what we were doing was a little bit difficult because none of them had been there yet.
The windows is one of the architectural parts of the room that I like the most. There's also a huge mural that's really interesting, and I think once we actually get in the space, which is wonderful that we're going to have a day to do that, it might further inform, but I want to have a clear base. So this window idea, if it doesn't work, could be scrapped. But I really love the idea of using the architecture that's already there, and also because it's almost a panorama in the room, the way that it works. So it's also changing focal points, which I find interesting.
It was a little bit more just generating material, generating ideas, literally ideas. We were kind of starting from the very beginning point. I told them, actually very literally, I said, let's look at 1871. 7, I want you to use 7 directions. 8, I want you to have 8 eighths of music. 1, I want you to have repetition of a single movement over again. And we just really started with a number, just for nothing else except for just some common point to start from. After they did that and they all created each of their, what we're calling introductions, we filmed them and then we started manipulating them. So each person with their introduction had a task with the rest of the group. Those tasks were very specifically designed to ideas that I've been speaking with the consultants with that had to do with business. So maybe having obstacles in your way while you're trying to accomplish your task, so that was one. Maybe not being able to move unless everyone else helped you, that was maybe another. Good. Another one maybe was almost pitching your introduction to other people in the room. So walk up to them, speak to them with movement, try to get them to listen to you, and everyone else react.
Good, stop.
Many times we edit out our good ideas because they're too messy to begin with. And the thing I was really inspired by when I watched Taryn working with the dancers and creating the first piece for 1871 was the messiness of the initial creative process of just kind of trying things out. I know that that's not something I'm personally as comfortable with as I could be, because even though I have that sort of creative part of me, my rational brain, every time I get an interesting idea, says, oh, but that won't work because of this, this, and this, and so that one doesn't make it on the list. I edit out a lot of my best ideas, as opposed to doing that sort of creative expansion phase and then saying, okay, now of these, which ones are we going to take? And I feel like that's a valuable lesson for all of us to learn, is the ability to be with just the first part of brainstorming and trying something and having it look a little clumsy at first and just trusting that something is going to emerge.
They were very literal, except the dancers had no idea the context. And they were given just literal specific tasks that went with their movement. And from that, other things came out of it. And then we started creating a little bit more duets, and the material gained meaning outside of the first ideas that now it has on its own, and then we brought those into the space when we rehearsed in the space.
The HS2 dancers are young, passionate, committed, and are pursuing their dream, and are brave enough to go for it, and are also the best of the best. You know, these are young people who have competed for, out of hundreds and hundreds of dancers, have made it into 7 main spots, right? So it's the same thing as, you know, for entrepreneurs. It takes something. It takes all of that talent. And out of that whole pool, what's going to have certain people really stand out right, are the ones who can connect, can create meaning, can pull it together and tell their story in a way that a consumer or customer emotionally connects with.